Imagine waking up every day with a quiet feeling that something is wrong, but you can't quite name it. She smiles, but there's a coldness in her eyes. She says she loves you, yet her actions cut you, as if love were a punishment. You try to ignore it. You convince yourself, it's okay, nobody's perfect, but a part of you, the part you keep silenced, is screaming for help. And what if the problem isn't her, but the fact that you're fighting to keep alive something that has already died in silence? Stoicism teaches, what lies beyond our control must be let go. But do you have the courage to accept that truth? Epictetus would say, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. So tell me, why do you keep reacting as if begging for affection is the same as love? Why do you accept emotional crumbs as if they were a feast? The Stoic does not surrender to the chaos of untamed emotions. He watches, he reflects, he chooses. Yet you've been living like a prisoner of empty hope, waiting for a single moment of tenderness to make up for the constant contempt masked as normal. Are you in a relationship? Or just trapped in an emotional prison with invisible bars? This video is not an attack, it's a mirror, a call to come back to yourself. Because if she acts with coldness, subtle manipulation, selective absence, or mockery disguised as jokes, then maybe, and I say this with the weight of a painful truth, maybe you were fighting for someone who has already let go of you on the inside. And Stoicism is clear. Do not cling to what wounds the soul. Stay, watch, and discover what Epictetus, Seneca, and Marcus Aurelius would say if they were staring right now at your wounded heart. It's strange how human beings learn to ignore the most obvious signs. Have you noticed that? Sometimes she speaks gently, but her words bring no warmth. Other times she disappears when you feel a mix of relief and guilt. Stoicism doesn't teach us to reject emotions. It teaches us to observe them clearly, like someone surveying a battlefield. And in that field, a war is being fought inside you. Reason warns you, but hope insists on keeping you blind. Why? Because you want it to be love. But is it really? Seneca once said, to love and be wise is not impossible, but it is rare. And maybe that's exactly what's been eating away at you. You love, but you feel like you're losing yourself in the process. You no longer recognize yourself. You tolerate what you never would have accepted. You laugh at jokes that wound you. Stay silent about pains that should be voiced. All to avoid upsetting her, to not be too intense. But deep within, a universe is screaming for respect, for reciprocity. And that silent scream, the one no one hears, is the clearest sign that something is deeply wrong. You try to justify it. She had a rough childhood. She's stressed. She doesn't realize what she's doing. But Stoicism teaches us that character is not revealed in the words one says, but in the choices one repeats. And if she repeats behaviors that diminish you, it is not by accident, it is by habit. And habits speak louder than promises. The question Epictetus would ask is not, why does she do this? But rather, why are you still accepting it? This isn't an accusation, it's an invitation. A call for you to open your eyes without fear of the pain that may follow. Because sometimes truth hurts, but only through the pain of clarity does the spirit break free from the prison of self-deception. And if you're feeling that discomfort while listening, it's because something within you already knows. The next step is to have the Stoic courage to see clearly and to act. Maybe she's not cruel. Maybe she's just trapped in her own traumas, her own unconscious games. And that's exactly why the damage is so hard to see. Because sometimes manipulation comes with smiles. Absence comes with plausible excuses. Disrespect is disguised as playfulness. Marcus Aurelius warned, whatever causes you pain, examine it closely. The cause, almost always, lies in your permission for it to continue. The painful reflection is, are you choosing suffering out of fear of being alone? When love demands that you shrink to fit into the silence of the other, it is not love, it is self-denial. The Stoic does not fear solitude because he understands that the worst company is that which separates you from yourself. Maybe you're trying to save someone who doesn't want to be saved. And worse, maybe you're losing yourself in the process. Every time you swallow a hurt, every time you erase yourself, something inside you dies a little. But society romanticizes this kind of sacrifice, as if emotional self-abandonment were proof of love. But Stoicism teaches, to love is to be virtuous, to uplift the other, and be uplifted in return. If the relationship doesn't inspire growth in wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, it is consuming you. Healthy love is a fire that warms, not a flame that burns you alive from within. You deserve someone who admires your light, not one who envies it or tries to dim it to shine alone. And if she acts like this, maybe she's not your soulmate, but your greatest test of self-mastery. So look with courage. The mask of affection may charm, but it can also blind. And when blindness sets in, you become a hostage of a love that exists only in your idealization. Free yourself from the illusion. This doesn't mean she is bad. It means she may not know or want to love you the way you need. And the Stoic chooses what is right even when the heart cries, "Now stop, take a deep breath and look in the mirror." Stoic philosophy always returns to the same point: self-mastery. It doesn't matter what the other does. It matters what you allow. And if you're allowing disrespect, it's because you haven't yet recognized your real worth. How long has it been since you truly listened to yourself? How long have you ignored that discomfort in your chest? The outside world will never give you the answer you refuse to give yourself, because no one can save you until you decide to save yourself. Maybe you learned to accept little because you grew up believing you had to earn love. Maybe you confused intensity with stability, attachment with commitment, control with care. But the Stoic does not let wounds guide him. He heals, he transcends, he transforms pain into wisdom. And that is exactly what you are being called to do now. Turn this emptiness into strength, this craving into clarity, this fear into freedom. It's not about cutting people off. It's about stopping the act of cutting yourself to fit into stories that do not represent you. It's about no longer writing love letters to someone who only replies with silence. It's about honoring your own soul as the most precious treasure you possess. Epictetus said, "Do not ask that events happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do, and your life will flow serenely." Maybe this relationship entered your life not to last, but to teach you never to abandon yourself again. Stoicism is not cold. It is deeply compassionate, but it is firm. It does not allow wild emotions to steer the course of existence. And in this stormy sea that is the heart, you must be the captain, not the castaway. Love that wounds is not a virtue, it is a vice. And every vice, sooner or later, destroys. You've made it this far for a reason. Something inside you wants to change. And that is the spark of the Stoic, to not resign to pain, but to face it with clarity. What will you do with this truth? Will you close the video and go back to pretending? Or will you allow this reflection to turn into action? Freedom isn't in breaking up, it's in recognizing. In realizing that you are already whole. That true love doesn't complete, that it overflows. And that no one has the right to dim your essence in the name of a we that exists only in theory. Marcus Aurelius would write in his journal, "Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth." And at this point, you must understand. What you were calling love may just be emotional attachment, shaped by fear and longing. You have the right and the duty to remove yourself from any space where your light is ignored, where your pain is minimized, where your presence is merely tolerated, not celebrated. The choice to stay or go will never be easy, but it will be necessary. Because there is a much higher price than the pain of ending something. The price of a life wasted trying to fit into a relationship that suffocates. Stoicism teaches us to live with courage, and courage here means staying loyal to your truth, even when it places you face to face with solitude. The solitude of the beginning, before freedom blooms. Yes, there will be fear, there will be hard nights, but there will be peace, and that peace, the quiet peace of someone who returned to themselves, is the fertile ground where real life begins. You can't plant flowers in poisoned soil. And if she acts this way, maybe, just maybe, her mission in your life is over. Now, yours begins. The Stoic awakens when he understands that everything he suffers, he endures. Everything he loses, he releases. Everything he accepts, he transforms. You don't need a new love. You need a new level of awareness, a new relationship with yourself. And that is the essence of Stoicism, not to fight the world, but to align with what is, to let go of what no longer holds, to honor what remains, to nurture what is worthy, and to abandon what decays. This video ends, but your reflection is just beginning. It's not about rushing to end a relationship. It's about seeing with new eyes, listening with ears that no longer deny, feeling with the wisdom of someone who no longer betrays themselves, and then acting. If you choose to stay, let it be with awareness. If you choose to leave, let it be with dignity. Because the Stoic is not moved by impulse, but by truth. And your truth is now clear. You deserve a love that uplifts you, not one that depletes you. Let this message echo in your heart as a reminder, a mirror, a portal, not for drama, but for clarity. Because in the end, true love begins where the fear of being alone ends. May you have courage, may you have clarity, and may you, as the ancient sages taught, live with virtue, and never as a slave to a soulless love. If you felt something while listening to this, then it was for you. And now it's your turn to choose. Keep denying what you feel, or finally start living as someone who respects themselves. There are moments in life when there's nowhere left to run. Silences once ignored now scream. Small discomforts become unbearable. And deep down, you realize, this isn't just about the other person. It's about you, the version of yourself that's allowing it all. Stoicism invites us to that kind of clarity, to observe without judgment, to feel without losing ourselves, to choose with resolve. And when that clarity arrives, it doesn't come with rage. It comes with a devastating serenity. The kind of serenity that only comes when you finally understand that love should never be a prison decorated with promises. That's when everything changes. Because the real turning point is not in confronting the other, it's in rediscovering yourself. You no longer beg, you no longer explain, you no longer try to fix what has always been broken. You simply rise, take a deep breath, and choose to come home. And I don't mean a physical place. I mean your essence, your center, the place where you were whole before you were wounded. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul remains undefeated so long as it does not surrender to itself." And maybe this is the moment when you stop surrendering to what fragments you. But don't be mistaken, this decision won't be met with applause. The world praises those who sacrifice, not those who preserve themselves. They will call you cold, insensitive, dramatic. They'll try to convince you that you're walking away from something precious. But you will know the truth. You're not abandoning love. You're burying the illusion that kept you chained. And while many live trapped by what merely looks beautiful, few have the courage to live what truly makes sense. The Stoic lives with purpose. And sometimes that purpose begins with a no. So if today you choose to walk away, it won't be out of weakness. It will be because you finally found strength, because you understood that your peace is sacred, that true love does not require you to disappear, and that staying where there is no respect is not loyalty. It is self-abandonment. Let this be carved into your heart. Never accept less than what nourishes your soul, not even from someone who says they love you. If this message stirred something inside you, share it. Not for me, but for yourself, and for those who still need to hear it. Like it, comment, subscribe, not as an automatic click, but as a silent pact with your own clarity. You are not alone. And now, you know exactly where your path back to yourself begins.